And just like that, this second episode has begun. Welcome back to Ace Attorney, Trials and Tribulations. I'm your host, MegaShadowFist, second video, second commentary. When we last left off, we were doing this. Yep! So without further ado, let's go ahead and continue. There was some lame guy with that name, though, wanted to borrow cash from me. That's very strange. According to the manager of the firm where the victim worked, December 3rd was the date he had to repay his loan. He wasn't due to discuss borrowing money, but repaying what he owed. Oh, yeah, maybe he's right. Whatever it was going down at the beginning of December. So you did meet Mr. Elk then? Hey, Wright, you might want to cool your jets a sec. I set up a meeting with the guy at my office, Linda. So your meeting wasn't supposed to be at Tribune then? Why would I want to go to a dump like that? If I want to talk with my clients, I got an office decked out for the job. I got the best punching bag you ever saw in there. Not exactly a professional office you got there, you know. So you were in your office on the day in question. I waited around for him, but he ain't never showed up. He ain't never showed. He didn't show up? Ha! What do you think, Trite? Let's see. How does a dead man get from a French restaurant to a loan shark's office? And you yourself didn't go to Tribune? What are you trying to pin on me here? Why don't you come down to my office? We can chat about this thing my way, yeah? I got the best punching bag you ever saw in there. No need. I'm good, thanks. Listen up, I ain't got nothing more to say except this. I ain't never been to that Tribune joint, you hear? Never. Not even once. Not even once. I was in my office the day that went down. I didn't put no poison in no kid's coffee, capiche? Do you think he really didn't meet Glenelg? Not likely. Because I'm convinced this guy's behind the whole thing. So you mean, that whole testimony he just gave was a lie? Of course. So we can't afford to give him time to think of ways to plug the leaks in it. I've got to nail him while I still can. Alrighty then. I ain't no lie, I never met Glenelg. There was some lame guy with that name though, wanted to borrow cash from me. I set up a meeting with the guy at my office in Linder. I waited around for him, but he ain't never showed up. I ain't never been to that Tribune joint, yous here. Okay, so let's try not to accidentally present any evidence this time. Okay, what does the MC Bomber thing say? Potentially worth millions of dollars. Okay. Viola's medical papers. Payment was due last year. Tribune matches. Oh. Alright, so how do you explain this one, jackass? Mr. Tigre, is there something you'd like to tell the court about these matches? Matches? What you talking about? We found them in your office at Linder. They're from that restaurant. What? If you've really never been to Tribune before, what was the book of the restaurant's matches doing on your desk? You've been snooping around my stuff now too, wise guy? What are you doing, my ball and... What are you, my ball and chain? Ain't no bra controlling me. Order! Order! Well, witness? I think it's time you started telling us the truth, don't you? Ah! Sorry! I'm terribly sorry, forgive me! I ain't no pussycat. I don't go back on what I said. But, okay, I was at the joint that day. What? But listen good, alright? I might have been there, but I still never met that kid. Well. Looks like an order just came in for another testimony. I'm this close to proving it was him. He did meet Glenelg that day. And he put poison in his coffee. He must have. At Tribune. I was supposed to meet with that kid at the restaurant that afternoon. When I opened the door to the joint, I saw one ugly scene. The guy was laid out over the table, stiff as concrete. I figured if the place wasn't hot already, it was gonna be, so I split. I heard the cop sirens on my way out, and I went straight back to my office. Alrighty then. I see. You didn't actually meet with him in the end then. Well, Mr. Wright, your cross-examination, please. Yes, Your Honor. hold it! If I wait around here any longer, I ain't even gonna make the normal express! No more stupid questions! Huh. No problem. Anytime Tribe presses you on something irrelevant, I'll see he pays a penalty. Mr. Goda, that's my job! Your job is to slam that little hammer of yours and call a guilty verdict. I said that in a... Oops. So do it. Yes, sir! The Special Express ain't cheap, right? Just so yous know, since you's payin'. Oh, man. Doesn't the rule of law mean anything around here? Phoenix, you're asking this now and it never has. Cross-examination at Tribulations. Alrighty then, let's go ahead and save first before we continue. So we don't want to end up... So I feel like this one's probably going to kick our butt. It's probably going to absolutely destroy us. Alright, so let's look at this from save point. So we have, I was supposed to meet with the kid at the restaurant that afternoon. When I opened the door to the joint, I saw one ugly scene. The guy was laid out over the table, stiff as concrete. I figured the place wasn't hot already, it was gonna be, so I split. I heard the cop sirens on my way out and I went straight back to my office. Hold on. What time was there a specific time on the Glenn's calendar? No, it just says December 3rd. Okay. MC Bomber, computerized potential with millions of dollars. Victor's prescription bag. Wait a minute. But the dead body was hidden. But we don't have like a testimony of that, do we? No, we don't. Okay, let's go back. I figured if the place wasn't hot already, it was going to be, so I split. The guy was laid out over the table, stiff as concrete. When I opened the door to the joint, I saw one ugly scene. Okay, so I was supposed to meet with the kid at the restaurant that afternoon. Okay, we don't want to press that, I don't think. When I opened the door to the joint, I saw one ugly scene. Alright, let's press this one. An ugly scene? What do you mean? No, we're gonna get it, yeah. The witness has already told us, trite, which makes that question irrelevant. But... I limit myself to 17 cups of coffee during a trial, that's the rule. You better limit the number of times you take a penalty, trite. Or your guts will look like the inside of a chimney, ashen. Don't make me burn you again, Mr. Wright. I guess I shouldn't have pressed him on that. Guess I'm gonna make that special express after all. So, to recap, this ugly scene you saw was... The guy was laid out over the table, stiff as concrete. I figured if the place wasn't hot already, it was gonna be, so I split. We have to press at least one of these, right? Let's press this one. You mean you saw Glenn Elk's... Oh, no. Okay, we're definite. You mean you saw Glenn Elk's dead body? I guess I did, but I only saw him from behind. He was wearing some raggy bit of cloth he called a hat. And what time was this? I don't know. Huh? You know what winds me up more than anything else in the world? Watches. Round watches. I ain't gonna pollute my paws with some ticking handpicker. Out of the interest, Mr. Tigre, what winds you up the second most? Huh? What you think? Square watches. Is this guy for real? Look, all I need to know was that something bad was going down in that place. Okay, that one is fine. I figured they're gonna be like, oh, right, we already established that it was Glenn Elk that he saw, so blah, penalty. I figured if the place wasn't hot already, it was gonna be, so I split. It wasn't hot already, it was going to be, so I split. Alright. I heard the cop sirens on my way out and I went straight back to my office. You went straight back? Did a bout of guilt suddenly hit you for what you did? What you trying to say? You trying to tell me yous ain't never been guilty of nothing? We all have our crosses to bear. We all have to swallow the dark secrets we hide. Like this. The courtroom's not exactly the place to talk about dark secrets, is it? It seems you've done it again, Mr. I knew it. Another relevant line of questioning. I must impose a penalty accordingly. How about a penalty for those two jokers and the garbage they keep coming up with? Well, Nick, what do you think? He's running out of ways to avoid the truth. I need to press him fast before he has the time to think things through. I've got to come right back at him with a contradiction. Be careful what you press him on, though, or you'll get penalized, okay? Alright, I was supposed to meet with the kid at the restaurant that afternoon. When I opened the door to the joint, I saw one ugly scene. We pressed that, we got a penalty. We already pressed that. We couldn't quite identify. Figured the place wasn't hot already, it was going to be, so I split. Question, though. What reason would you have to run away, I mean, we can still press the last two remaining things, and we still wouldn't get a guilty verdict, so press away! So, you didn't actually set foot inside the restaurant, then? The Tiger is a busy cat. I don't hang around for no one. I ain't got time to be caught up in no murder investigation. So, when exactly did you pick up the matches? There are matches just inside the front door. Our detective friend wound up in trouble with the chef after taking 5 books home. Poor Gumshoe. It's almost enough to make a man cry. Alright. So we pressed that. I figured if the place wasn't hot already, it was going to be. Let me press that again because I was only half paying attention to that. So you didn't actually set foot inside the restaurant then? The Tiger's a busy cat. I don't hang around for no one. I only got time to be caught up in no. I don't got time to be caught up in no murder investigation. So when is okay? Yeah, and then we they're at the front. Okay, so all that's left is the very first one at the very beginning. I know I'm pressing these out of order, but it is what it is. When I opened the door, okay, so I was supposed to meet with the kid at the restaurant that afternoon. I feel like that would actually penalize us if we pressed this. But we're going to anyway. So the meeting wasn't due to take place at Tender Linder at all then? The kid was making a fuss about coming into the office. It's always that way when I was talking about repayments. Even though I got the best punching bag you ever seen in there, if there are any issues. Maybe it's because of the punching bag that people are scared to come? So that's why you decided to meet at Tribulations? Huh! You're going over old ground again, Wright. Sorry! You just earned yourself a penalty. Now suck it down. You will suck down the penalty, Mr. Wright, and you will like it! Thank you, sir. May I have another? Okay, so that was everything. I knew that one was gonna give us. I was supposed to meet with the kid at the restaurant that afternoon? When I opened the door to the joint, I saw one ugly scene. The guy was laid out over the table, stiff as concrete. I figured if the place wasn't hot already, it was gonna be, so I split. I heard the cop sirens on my way out, and I went straight back to my office. Okay. So, what exactly are we going to present here? Let's look at everything. Let's check all the descriptions that are on the source paper. Doodle the victim's handwriting. Touch the check button for details. Okay, that doesn't really tell us anything. An article on December 6th says I was found drowned. My client was found guilty. Picked up from a bench of Vitamin Square, thrown away by the old man. Lunch special. Trabian lunch special costs $20 despite how unbelievably bad it tastes. Scooter. What are we going to use this for, I wonder? Have we already used this yet? Scooter, written by my phony, the wheel guard is all smashed up. John's loan contract, John's debt is $500,000. The owner of the loan is Tender Linder. Huh. When the incident occurred, I broke the vase at my seat. I'm sorry. Blueprints of the crime scene. That's not going to do anything. Died of potassium cyanide. Okay. Photo. Well, we don't really need to worry about that. Maggie, covered in victim and Maggie's fingerprints. The winning ticket for $500,000 found in body search. Worn by Maggie at the time of the incident has small pockets but big stains. A deadly powdery poison bears Maggie's fingerprints found in her apron pocket. The victim got this from the doctor before going to Tribune. The bag is empty. On December 3rd, meet the Tiger. Found a Tender Linder made of cardboard and painted to look authentic. A computer virus made by Glen Elk, potentially worth millions of dollars. Experience, 10 millions, Gumshoe's lunchbox. A $1 million of cranial surgery payment was due last year. Matches used for advertising found lying in Tender Linder. Okay, so, honestly, there's a John's loan contract, which is the only thing. I'm not quite sure how any of this stuff is relevant, though. John's debt is $500,000, the owner of the loan is Tender Linder. Let's back up. I heard the cop sirens on the way out, and I went straight back to my office. I figured the place wasn't hot already, it was gonna be, so I split. The guy was laid out over the table, stiff as concrete. When I opened the door to the joint, I saw one ugly scene. I was supposed to meet with the kid at the restaurant that afternoon. When I opened the door to the joint, I saw one ugly scene. The guy who laid out over the table, stiff as concrete. Okay. But I figured the place wasn't hot already, it was going to be. Let me check profiles. Let me look at Armstrong. They say anything about him? Has a large debt and prior convictions for theft. Okay. Victim, lifter, it doesn't say anything about him being, you know, hidden or something. Furio Tigre, also known as a tiger. Okay. The guy was laid out over the table, stiff as concrete. When I opened the door to the joint, I saw one ugly scene. I'm confused. I mean, like, what exactly are you supposed to break down here? I was supposed to meet with the kid at the restaurant that afternoon. Okay. When I opened the door to the joint, I saw one ugly scene. Okay. The guy was laid out over the table, stiff as concrete. Okay. This is one of the ones that we could press, too, so this is a potential candidate. I figured the place wasn't hot already, it was going to be, so I split. This is also a potential one. I heard the cop sirens on my way out, and I went straight back to my office. So it has to be either this one or this one, maybe? With this one being the Dark Horse candidate. I feel like the ones that we had to press are like, that's like the game's way of showing that these are the ones that we might want to present evidence for. The guy was laid out over the table, stiff as concrete. I figured if the place wasn't hot already, it was gonna be, so I split. I heard the cop sirens on my way out, and I went straight back to my office. Or is it this one? I heard the cop sirens on my way out, and I went straight back to my office. Figured the place wasn't hot already, it was gonna be, so I split. Let's press it again. I was laid out over the table, stiff as concrete. You mean you saw Glen Oak's dead body? I guess I did, but I only saw him from behind. He was wearing some raggy bit of cloth he called a hat. And what time was this? Okay, this is where he talks about stupid watches and stuff. Okay. The place wasn't hot already, it was gonna be, so I split. The guy was laid out over the table, stiff as concrete. I don't think we have anything to... Wait, what is the floor plan say? Check. No, there's no like, oh, the body was hidden in the kitchen or something. I'm not quite sure if it's been 10 minutes yet, but let's just assume that it has, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back, and as you can see, the patience meter dropped a little bit because I was silly. Okay, so I saw one ugly scene. What we're supposed to present to this is the floor plans, apparently. So go ahead. You're something of a loan collecting pro, aren't you, Mr. Tigre? No one escaped the tiger's clutches. Well, I'm something of a lie detecting pro. And no one escapes the Phoenix's clutches. I think it's time we got something straight. What's this, trite? A new line of irrelevant questioning. These are the floor plans of the crime scene. You say you were standing at the entrance, Mr. Tigre. From there, your field of vision would have covered an area something like this. Indeed, the witness would have had a clear view of the victim's seat. Isn't that what I just said? I saw the back of the kid's head. Unfortunately for you, that is not possible. If the court would think back, you'll remember that between each of the tables, our dividers, is a tall partition. Why, that's true! Now look at the plans again. The truth is painfully obvious. Or is it? I guess we'll find out in the next episode. I'll see you guys in the next episode.